Hi everyone, and welcome back to my live that I'm doing based upon my book Beyond Asanas. If you've been following me, you know that I'm taking a look again at all the asanas that I spoke about in Beyond Asanas and seeing them with fresh eyes. What are the new things that we can learn from these asanas? So we're finally on chapter 20 of the book, and there are only 10 more chapters to go. Chapter 20 is Kakasana, or crow's pose. And if you see, this is the picture that I took in Hampi of the crow pose. So the Kakasana is a balancing asana, but more than that, what the Kakasana does is it teaches us to cultivate a sense of intuition, a sense of inner harmony, a mind and body balance, which is basically what a balancing asana also does. So in this chapter, there's only one story that I've spoken about, and that story actually depicts why the crows are so important and why is there an entire asana named after crows. So now the story goes, the story that I've written in this chapter, it's called A Curse and a Boon. Okay, so the story is about the time when Ram, Lakshman and Sita actually went to the forest. They were exiled to the forest, and they were, getting to know how life in the forest is. They were used to the finest luxuries, and all of a sudden, they had to live in like mud huts. They had to, forage for food, and life was very different for them. So they were just getting used to it. But what happened also is that they learned how to live in harmony with creatures of the forest, in the forest, with the kind of climate changes that happen or the weather changes that happen in the forest, and they have to learn how to really become accommodating of this, and they had to learn how to deal with this, and how to live successfully and happily in this sort of situation. Basically, make the most of the situation. And the story goes that one day Ram and Sita were resting, and there was a crow who was looking at them, observing them from a vantage point on top of a tree. And as soon as he saw that Ram had drifted off to sleep, he decided to fly down and he started pecking Sita, sort of troubling her. And Sita got really frightened, and of course it was painful also, so she got frightened and she cried out in pain. And when she did that, then Ram also woke up, and Ram was like, okay, what's happening? And Sita said, well, there's this crow and it pecked me several times and then it flew back, and look, that is the crow. She pointed out the crow to him. So now Ram was livid with anger, so he grabbed his bow and arrow and he intended to shoot the crow. Now when he looked closer at the crow, he realized that this was not any ordinary crow. This is actually Jayant, and Jayant happens to be Indra's son. And he was just being very naughty. He was disguised as a crow because he had some feelings for Sita. He wanted, to be with Sita, and he attacked Sita knowing that she was defenseless when Ram was asleep. So he was trying to take advantage of the fact that Sita was alone, or she seemed to be alone. And so Ram said, well, this is doubly wrong, and so you deserve, to be punished, and he took aim. So now Jayant knew that, Ram is a great marksman, and he knew that if Ram takes aim at him, he would die. So what he does is he starts to beg for forgiveness. He says, well, I didn't know, and now I know better, and so please just, please spare me, forgive me, my lord, and all of that. And Jayant was being honest. Ram, even though he was seething with anger, he was livid with anger, he saw that Jayant was being honest. And he tells Jayant that, look, I cannot, unsee what you've done. You have to be punished for what you did. But what I can do is, along with your punishment, I can give you a boon. So Jayant said, okay, fine. So because he had no more bargaining power there. So he said, okay, what is it? So Ram said that, see, you saw that Sita was helpless and you made her your target. You did, if you if your perception, if your sense of perception was correct, if your sense of perception was accurate, correct, and honest, you wouldn't have done this. You would have known that Sita would have cried out, and would cry out, and I was there, and this was basically your erroneous way of looking at things, because of which you took this judgment call. So Ram said, from now on, because of this judgment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to you're going to be a crow for the rest of your life, but you're going to also be a one-eyed crow. At any given point in time, you can only see from one eye. And Jayant was like, what is the point of this? Why are you giving me this boon? And Ram says, well, because it will teach you that you have to use that sense of vision carefully. That power of that vision has to be used in a correct way, and it'll make you more careful, because now you will be able to appreciate your vision and the power of sight a lot more. So maybe that will fix your perception also. So Jayant is really sad about this, because he doesn't want to spend his life as a crow, and plus he wants to be able to look through both eyes. Who wouldn't? And so he's pretty sad. And Ram says, look, that's okay. You will be able to you will have more perception. You will have a better and more accurate sense of perception, because your vision will literally not be crowded, and you will be able to see and perceive better, even better than those people who can use both eyes. So it's working out well for you. You're going to learn something in the process. Plus, Ram says that when you will be so auspicious that people will actually consider you so auspicious that they will want to feed you. And it will be considered that anytime someone feeds you, it's like feeding their ancestors. Okay, so it'll be considered very auspicious, and there will be people who would want to feed you. So that is the boon that Ram gave him. Now, in every single chapter, I've also spoken about the symbolism, because symbolism and significance of each asana is how we know why we're practicing asanas. What is the point of practicing Kakasana? That lies not in how you're doing it, but in actually what the symbolism of Kakasana is. So here, what I've written is, when we practice yoga, our intuition and perception are purified. We are able to observe and analyze more clearly. We learn to respond rather than react to situations. So this is what actually happened with Jayant. This story shows us that once Jayant got that curse from Ram, he was able to actually see better, perceive better, and that is the whole point of yoga. Especially when you do the Kakasana or any balancing posture, your gaze has to be fixed. It has to be like, sort of like, you're almost like Jayant. You can only see with one eye. So both your eyes have to behave as one. You have to look only at one point in time, and only at one point in place. And if you shake your vision, if your eyes here and there, if your eyes dart here and there, you'll lose your balance. So similarly, the boon that Ram gave to Jayant helped him do the same thing. So that is actually the significance of the Kakasana. So next time you practice Kakasana, just remember that you're keeping a one pointed focus. Ekagrata, it's also called. So you're keeping that one pointed focus, and you're trying to simulate this crow, who was cursed and given a boon by Ram at the same time. So that is, a little bit about the Kakasana and the significance. It's not only a difficult posture. It's not only like one of those advanced postures, but once you gain a little bit of understanding about how it's connected to the way you see things, the way you perceive, and the importance of the drishti in this posture, then you'll be able to perform it in a better way also. So that is it for today. This is the book. It's available on Amazon. If you have been following along with me, we are in chapter 20 of the book, and we only have a few more chapters to go. If you have any questions about any of these asanas or any other asana, in Indian mythology, Hindu mythology, do drop me a line and I'll see what I can find for you. So that's it for us for today. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you next time for the chapter 21 of this book. Thank you. Bye.